Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Talking About the Big Stuff podcast with Michael Cole and Matthew Cravat. I am Michael Cole.
And I am Matthew Cravat.
Trump loses his support.
Well, okay.
I'll let you guys start that.
So, I wanted to talk about this for a few reasons. One is I was talking with my father-in-law Wednesday. I think it was before we knew.
He hates Alex, too, but I just want to say he hates Alex.
No, not my father.
No, he hates me.
Oh, right.
My father-in-law hates Alex.
Right. So we're talking about, all the shit going on, and at that point, Israel had bombed Iran. We didn't know about the bunker busters or whatever.
Right.
That
Trump
whole thing
had said, "I'll make a decision in 2 weeks. Drop the bomb."
Right.
Yeah. So we didn't know about that.
They won't see it coming. It's perfect.
When we were talking about this, we didn't know about that yet. And he said, and he was saying that he thinks Trump has fucked shit up so badly that the rest of the world is starting to just move on without not even consider America a thing, essentially. And I was like, I don't really see that being the case, but I also don't think that helps us here in the thick of it at all. And
they're abandoning us to our own devices. That's not good.
He was like,
right.
Before, there's no way that Netanyahu would have unilaterally done this without America, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, but Trump's so weak, blah, blah. And I was like, that's fine. It's I don't know that I 100% agree with the conclusion, but some of the points make sense. And then we found out that America did, in fact, bomb or bunker bomb. I forget the terms.
Bombing is fine. They bombed.
Yeah.
Sure.
The three Iranian sites,
nuclear site, nuclear project sites, labs, or whatever.
And
theoretically,
since then we've seen.
You believe everything you're told.
Yeah.
But that's what all three of them were actually. Those sites. Maybe they were. Maybe they weren't. Right. We'll find out. Nothing you find out in the first week is accurate.
So in the last 48 hours or so since we found out that that happened, and some speculation in that period of, we know Israel did it, we don't know if America is going to join it or not. There was a lot of conservative voices, especially the ones that don't think we should have Israel's back, and not for the right reasons. I was explaining to somebody this week, I was like, look, I know that people a lot of times equate anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism. I said, that's only right on the right. Though there are two factions. There's the Zionists and there's the anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic people. On the left, there is a lot more nuance to be. You can be pro-Jew but not pro-Israel. And I was explaining that.
Well, I think more anti-Semitism is creeping into the left too. The more they get mad at Israel, the more they just say, "And you're Jewish, therefore you're Israel."
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure
that implies that they are Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But so anyway, they. So I was seeing a lot of people, like Marjorie Taylor Greene was saying that if Trump did anything, that would be a big, I don't know her exact words, but basically that would be like a deal breaker.
I think she said kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle, yeah. And we're seeing, and we saw the Tucker Carlson thing with Ted Cruz.
That piece of garbage.
Yeah.
Which one? Wait, it's Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz. Which garbage are you talking about?
No, but Tucker just feeling that was some kind of like a ha look at me. And I was telling my wife the reason he's doing that is because he doesn't have a major media paycheck anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Talking the popular criticisms is going to get you views. The more views, downloads, comments, whatever he gets, the more money and reach he has. Same thing with Charlie Kirk. So they're not necessarily going to touch on real criticism. They're going to do what's the popular criticism. Because if tomorrow he said that,
either direction.
Exactly. Yeah. If tomorrow the big thing was trans kids, we'll be back on that again, and Tucker will be running his bow-tied mouth about that for a different reason. I'm not saying don't give him credit, but I'm also not going to say I believe it's genuine. How about that?
You're good. I agree. I don't want to go off on the full Tucker tangent. Let's return to Michael's point.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to get to the Tucker tangent.
Yeah, I figure we'll hit that later.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so essentially, we're seeing a fairly good amount of the right fracturing, just to whatever degree.
Yeah.
And let's say
there's a core amount of MAGA support that was, he would never get us into a war. He won't spend money or lives on a war ever. He never would. He told us he never would. So there is a core that has that belief.
Yep. Yeah. And as well as the core that is like, why are we having Israel's back? As you know, that part of it. And so I have been thinking of this since my father-in-law was talking about, like, this is all going to solve itself because the world is moving on. And I'm like, well, how does that affect us in America? And then today, did you listen to Cogdis yet today?
No, maybe. Yes, maybe.
So on Cogdis, they talked.
They recorded before.
I think they recorded
before it happened, Thursday. And they were saying, by the time you listen to this, maybe we did bomb Iran, and everything I say is wrong. Is that one?
Yeah, yeah.
That one.
That one. So I was listening to that this morning, and I was like, they were talking about how people were talking about if Trump does this, this will be they'll call for impeachment. The people on the right were saying that, and they were making the statement that the right has lied so much about what impeachment is that now they even believe that impeachment is just like a I
don't like what you did in office, therefore a call of no confidence.
Yeah. And
Tom kept saying it wrong on the podcast. He kept saying something else, but
but they were saying that, and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, what if we get to, and I don't know what approval ratings are at the moment or what they were a week ago or anything. So I'm not, but let's say we get to a point where approval ratings are at like a ridiculous low, like single digits or, like we get to a point where literally nobody's happy. We still need the politicians to have some kind of backbone to be able to do anything about it.
It has to go on the right. The pendulum has to swing to the point where impeaching him gets a Republican reelected instead of making them lose support.
Yeah.
Which oftentimes wartime presidents don't get, that party just does not get reelected.
Yeah, but no, often it wipes the slate clean. Everybody hated Bush
that's true.
until he started wars, and then you're pro-American and you're pro-war, you get behind your president. I mean, there is a contingent that thinks that both Bibi Netanyahu and Trump did their attacks on Iran because they were being so unpopular. And they thought, well, if we have an external enemy of another country, both in the same thing, suddenly everyone will be on my side again because, look, I'm fighting against a nuclear terrorist bomb.
How did that work out?
I was, when my father-in-law and I were talking about it.
Weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist in Iraq got Bush reelected.
I 100% think that Bush wouldn't have been reelected if it wasn't for that. But I was going to say, when I was talking with my father-in-law, we were speculating if they had, or I think we had heard that they had, but they hadn't. Trump hadn't come out and confirmed it yet, or whatever. And we were talking, and he goes,
"Well, I think the thing at that time was did we have anything to do with what Israel did? Because like in Cruz, was like, no, we did this, and they well, what did we do? And he was like, oh, well, we just supported them, but he wouldn't say what we did. I don't think anyone thought we bombed Iran personally the way we eventually did.
At this point,
what did we give Israel?
At this point, when in our conversation, he and I knew that. Even if it wasn't confirmed, we knew that there had been the 3 sites had been bombed. And he said, actually, surprisingly, that is contained and efficient way of doing it, considering. And
assuming they are what they say they are, and they were at the stages they say they were.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
And so he said that, and he hates giving Trump any credit. And he said it, and I'm like, yeah, well, because Netanyahu must have told him what to do. Like, there's no way on earth that Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump came up with a contained, like, clean, precision thing. It just didn't fucking happen.
A real general who said, in the war, if it gets down to the point where we have to take action, these are the 3 targets we would recommend as the most efficient target. Do it. No. I mean, if we had to, go do. No, I meant like in a couple of weeks. It's like,
yeah. So. Okay, so in addition to the impeachment thing that you were talking about, now I don't know what is left on the table to impeach him.
Yeah, okay, good. Finish that.
I was going to say, I don't know what's left on the table to impeach him for, because I don't know, does impeachment follow the same rule of double jeopardy? So
No, because well, impeachment's a political thing, not a crime. You know,
Okay.
not a crime, not a criminal action. Like that's
Right.
like he's immune from criminal things. I don't think it seems odd that they would impeach him for the things they impeached him for last time because he was elected after those things.
Sure.
So that politically seems weird. So you'd have to say, what has he done since he's been back in office that was illegal? And so, oh dear podcast listener, it's what Michael alluded to earlier that Republicans are like, impeach him for doing the bombing. And it's like, well, that's maybe not an impeachable offense. That has to be a high crime or misdemeanor. And I know you were going there, but you didn't finish the thought.
Yeah.
The Republicans don't seem to know that's what you have to do. You can't impeach him because he said he wouldn't start a war and he did. That's not a valid reason.
Right. So I don't know.
Bombing them with, I mean, I've heard mixed things about how the legality of his bombing. Like, did he need any congressional permission? There's a lot of mixed things of what
I always heard it was if it's not a declaration of war specifically.
No, it's not that, because if that were the case, he could not declare war and invade every country on the planet, and that you can't do that.
Right?
Hey, let's not give him ideas.
Please, he might be listening.
Like Bush
might be listening.
He's been taking the notes from another person who kind of did some very similar things to what you're talking about.
Right. No, he got permission though. He took over.
Yeah.
He sold it well. So I mean, Bush got permission from Congress. They didn't declare war, but he got permission to use the military action in the way that he did. And they gave him too much and too broad, and they regretted it because he did more than they wanted him to for longer than they wanted him to. But it was permission granted. So they're trying to say there are certain things where, oh, it says we can do something for up to 60 days. And it's like, no, that's not what that means. You know, it's more meant to be if we were physically attacked, the president can respond. He doesn't have to wait for a response. There could be a quick response, and quick things can happen. Small missions could happen, like taking out bin Laden, like, you know, with a targeted military mission. That's not supposed to include bombing a country. Like, that's not included. But is that a law being broken that's exceeding his presidential powers, but not necessarily a high crime or misdemeanor that you could impeach him for?
Okay.
So the question, but I mean, he's been in office for 100 and something days. He's broken laws that we can impeach him for. Like, I'm sure they're not coming to mind now because there's been so many things, but I'm sure there are things that the Democrats could say. Here's a list of 10 things if you want to, hang him.
I'm sure that is true. I am wondering if if Trump gets unpopular enough and Republicans start to Republican politicians start to say we need to deal with this, will that be an effective way of doing? Because if they're upset about the Iran stuff and we go after them about anything that Republicans kind of are okay with, will Republicans be able to say we need to getting rid of him is more important than like?
I mean, I think. Let me just say, I think it's super highly unlikely that this is what gets him impeached. So I don't. So could it happen? Yes. So in the world where it could happen, I think that the Republicans who then have to go sell that to their constituency when they're running for re-election.
I think there's a lot of people at our level who are upset about this, though. Yeah. So when I say I don't mean I think that's the, getting Capone on tax evasion. Like, are the Republicans okay with doing things that way? Right. And I don't know that they would.
100%.
For a Democrat, they are.
Yeah.
For Trump, I don't know that they would. For their own, I don't know if they will.
Well, I don't think their own means anything because the Republicans are shit. They care about getting reelected. They care about money, power, reelection, right? So if it gets to the point where they think getting rid of him gets them reelected more likely in the midterm or beyond, that's the only way they're going to do it. And what they would do is they would say to the Democrats, okay, we'll do it your way. But then what they would be selling on the news, on Fox News and on Newsmax, is that it's because of Iran. Like, that's what they'd be saying. He's being impeached because of what he did in Iran. And no one at Fox and Newsmax said, well, it says here that the order of impeachment is because he defamed and
fair. Yeah, that's fair.
That's what the Democrats want me to put in there. But really, it's about Iran. And their voters, if it's already going to be decided by the voters that they're okay with it or they wouldn't be doing it. Yeah. And they will accept it.
Okay,
I think it's more likely that half the people who are saying we should never have war on behalf of Israel and we should never have war in the Middle East and it's America first, why are we doing this? When Trump spends a week going, oh, Iran first. We're trying to help the Iranians out. They need to be great again. Their regime is terrible. We're helping topple their regime. Not supposed to say regime toppling, but I'm saying regime toppling. I'm not supposed to say it, but I'm saying it. That's why we're doing it. We're doing it. Half of them will turn around and be like, yeah, when he was running for office, I remember he said he's going to topple Iran. They will, half of them will follow like little sheep. So I don't know that we'll get to the point where it would be a winning Republican strategy, because half his people are such sheep. They won't, like, we hear the loud ones who are leopard ate my face. I thought he wasn't going to do this.
Yeah.
But more of them are going to just go with the flow. And remember how many Republicans were against him and thought he should go to jail for January 6th when it first happened. But then, when they realized he was winning the primary, we're on his side again.
That's exactly why I think that no matter how much people grumble and how much he becomes unpopular in polling, I don't think there's a solution until the midterms. I think that there and things can change. Things, it's been 100 and whatever days you said, 160, 180, something like that. It's wild how much has already happened. So who knows what's going to happen in the next year and a half. Another
Republican strategy way to do it is wait till after the midterms and figure we're going to lose the House in the midterms regardless. And, and let that happen. To duck and cover as many people as they can, and if they lose the House, let the Democrats do the impeachment, and they just don't stand in its way. That in the Senate they remove him.
Yeah, that's wise.
And I
didn't think. Yeah, like cut your losses now kind of thought. Okay,
I have that thought that like that's where the first chance at the solution is going to be. But I also think that
Alex, if he says final solution, you got to help me out, bro. I got to look into that.
I didn't say at the solution, not the final solution.
Duh.
He said it, Alex.
I was quoting you. When our first chance at any solution to the Trump problem is that's probably not helpful either. The Trump problem.
What do you do with a problem like Trump?
Anyway, I think that the first option is the first realistic
favorite musical.
The first realistic thing is that if we win in the midterms strongly enough that could happen. I wasn't thinking about the strategy you just mentioned, which I think makes a lot of sense. But my worry is that that's a year and a half away.
Yeah.
And look what he's done in 180 days.
Yeah.
We have a year and a half of him essentially.
Not a very safe strategy for them to take. If they really, well, again, their reasoning, I think Republicans' reason to ever turn against him is it benefits them re-election wise. They're not going to do it to save the country because they knew this was going to happen when they supported him. Maybe Lauren Boebert didn't know him, and Magic the Gathering didn't know.
Magic the Gathering, nice. I've never heard that, but it works. MTG, I didn't. That's awesome.
So I just read that wrong. I saw MTG in my head, and I said it wrong. So yeah, they didn't know, but most of them knew. But they were willing to do it because, we'll sacrifice half the country to get reelected again. Okay. I'll be fine. The economy can crash. I'll be fine. My money's in good, safe places.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you. And I look at and to me, this is like one of those problems of in a way, it's good because we are people are starting to finally wake up to some extent. I don't know that, but I'm worried that it doesn't really matter how many people wake up. We're not going to have a solution in any kind of reasonable time frame.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried that the reason he did the bombing, as I kind of alluded to earlier, was to get more people on his side. And I mean, I've seen.
There's the clip of him, in 11 saying that about Obama. If he was to get reelected,
he had a tweet saying Obama's going to bomb Iran because his numbers are so low, and everybody knows that's
there is a fucking. No, it was that video of him saying it. It wasn't even a tweet.
I've seen the tweet.
There's a video of him saying it. And it's like there is a goddamn tweet for everything.
But he's not nobody. Wrong. The problem is he's not wrong. Bombing another country is a great way to get support. You get your jingoism up. Everyone gets nationalist pride, and there are certainly going to be Jews on both sides who are pro-Israel. Not to be too anti-Semitic, who say, you know what though. If they really were doing nuclear bombs here, and it's Trump's fault because he got rid of Obama's treaty, but someone need to stop them. Otherwise, maybe they would have bombed Israel next year.
Yeah.
As unlikely as it may be, there are going to be people who feel like I have cousins in Israel. If it's them or them,
Yeah, I'm not.
To do that. So there's going to be he's going to get he's going to lose some support. He's going to gain some support for doing it, especially if it goes on. Like I said, nobody was happy about the lying about weapons of mass destruction. But Bush got reelected because of it, because he was a wartime president and he was the hero, and you were bad if you were against him. People suddenly started supporting him. Best thing that ever happened to him was 9/11. It made him a superstar.
Yeah,
That's why he let his friends from Saudi do it.
I was literally about to say same thing with Giuliani, because I was a big fan of Rudy back then because of the way
would
that he handled
Giuliani even be a like Trump?
No.
Bush was president, so we would all know Bush still, but and I guess we know Ed Koch, but yeah, but there's other mayors, but Giuliani's claim to fame up until 6 years ago was 9/11.
Well, that was working the press well, because I do have to point out as a New Yorker, over the recommendations of every expert, he put the police emergency response headquarters in the World Trade Center after it had been attacked in 1993.
Yeah,
he put
odd choice,
and they were they might get attacked there again. That's a terrible place. You're making it a target, and he put it there, and it was destroyed. And so they were half-assing everything because the main place it was supposed to be run from was destroyed in the attack. So before you give him too much credit, it's kind of like a Trump thing.
Oh,
he caused part of the problem that he was getting credit for fixing.
I'm not giving him credit. I'm just saying that's why we know who he is still. And that before the ink running and the four seasons.
I will say that when he ran against Hillary, for that Senate seat and got stopped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I don't know, maybe he got stopped in the primary before he even got to Hillary. I don't even remember which.
The New York mayor race, by the way, I'm not fully paying attention, but that is a shit show. Now, there's one guy that I keep hearing about who, and I'm gonna screw up his name. I'll look it up. But he looks pretty good. But I did see a post today that was Democrats wondering why anybody could support Trump after he was credibly accused of
and then they're supporting
27, sexual harassment or assault, cases or whatever, and now we're propping up the guy who was credibly accused of 50% of that. I hope Cuomo does not get in. That would be terrible.
I think he's going to lose the primary because they have ranked choice voting. Okay. I think the ranked choice voting is going to wash him out.
Yeah. That would be great.
Which is
I hope.
That's what
I
genuinely
another
hope.
Wise interjection. I like that. Yeah.
The two most progressive candidates are kind of endorsing each other to say if you like me, vote him number 2, and if you like him, vote me number 2.
Yeah,
and
they're working the system the way it's supposed to work,
which makes sense. Yeah, and it will create something of a coalition.
Yeah, I was talking to a buddy in New York today. A guy works at the agency, and he was like, "I'm so dreading having to vote tomorrow." And he goes, "Because I know who I like." And I got to vote. I know he's saying who the second person is. I know those two, but I don't know how to rank the rest of them, except that I know that I'm going to cross Cuomo's name off the ballot completely.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think there's a good one named Adams. There's a bad one named Adams, but I think there's a good one named Adams, too, that can be on your list. I'm not sure how that works out, though.
Oh. Zoran,
last name Adams.
Zoran Mamdani, which I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but I've heard really good things about him. And I've heard that there's been the criticisms were well, he doesn't have a lot of political history, and he's yeah, but I don't have a lot, but I have some, and I don't have bad political history where I've been credibly accused. I mean, is Eric Adams out of the race, or he's rerunning?
He's an independent. He's
independent. Okay, so we have a guy who's being indicted versus a guy who quit being the governor due to very credible accusations, and then we have this one guy who has some really good takes, and they're well, you're young and don't have that much. It's is it just a matter of is it just having that political credit score? It doesn't matter what the number is. What the hell?
So what I love the most is the Republican candidate for mayor, Curtis Silva. And you're young enough, you might not remember him, but he used to be on all of the Oprah type shows, all the afternoon talk shows, Oprah and Jenny Jones and and all those crap things, because he's the guy who started the Guardian Angels, like the good guy gang, quote unquote.
Yeah.
That rode the subways and they were all martial artists and they beat the shit out of people they thought were criminals and held them for the police to come and arrest them.
Yeah. I don't remember him. I've
Yeah.
heard of the Guardian Angels.
Yeah, he's the founder of Guardian Angels. He was
Okay.
from
No, I totally remember when that came out.
And he's wears a friggin' beret.
Yeah, with the rubber.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you, my brother and I was maybe 13, Lee was like maybe 16 or 17, and we were coming back from the city in the middle of the night, like from comedy, rehearsal. He would take me for workshops when I started my improv career, and his. And we're in the train, and all these guys come in with red bandanas, and they're all, young, tough-looking guys, white T-shirts with like an angel on it. We're like, what the hell? It was like red wings kind of thing. And at every stop, they go to the edge of the train. They go to the doors. They kneel down and they look as far down the platforms as they can, and they give hand signals to each other. And we're like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, are they waiting until there's no cops anywhere so they can kill us? Like, what? And they rode our train. We say our train because the train went. The last stop was in my neighborhood. Like, it was the end stop of my train. I lived in Canarsie. It was the Canarsie line. The stop before our stop is 105th Street, one of the most dangerous stops in Brooklyn. They all get off there, and we're like, oh my God, they all got off. And like, so we're safe. They didn't do anything, and they got off right before our stop, the last stop. 2 weeks later, it's the cover story of New York Magazine. Guardian Angels, the new heroes of the subway. We're like, oh, they were there to help. Like, we were terrified. Yeah. And then I had a friend in high school who was a black belt in karate who, like after high school, joined them. Like he became an angel.
So essentially, they were like the New York subway version of what the Black Panthers were in or they were claiming to be what that.
Yeah, they were just trying to make the subway safe. They lived in a really,
and that's what the Black Panthers largely were doing, was making the black community safer.
Yeah, and they were just doing it across the entire subway system. And the thing is, like, they were always on our train because the original core members all lived the stop before mine. So it was the way they got into Manhattan to then disperse onto the other trains was on my train.
Nice.
Until they got big enough that they were coming from all over. But yeah, so Curtis still was the one Republican, I think, running. I don't think anyone's even running. So I think it's like Eric Adams is running as a independent. Still was running as a Republican, I think, with no competition. And then 10 people running for Democrat.
So now there's one other thing I want to talk about. It came up a fair amount towards the end of the last Trump administration. Came up in the public. It didn't.
Was that the first one or the second one? Oh wait, we're still in the second. I forgot. I jumped ahead. Sometimes I break loose in time and I float.
Please don't wish that upon us. So, there was the talk, and I can't remember what the specific incident was. That maybe it was the beginning of COVID. I wouldn't think that was. I think would have thought it was earlier than that, but which was it the 24th Amendment where the cabinet can
25th.
Is it the 25th? Can do the no confidence vote,
right? But nobody gets it right. It's harder than impeachment.
No, and I understand.
Yeah, that's what's ridiculous. People say 25th Amendment. Impeachment is easier than 25th Amendment unless he's in a coma. Impeachment is easier.
Except that they can. The standard is different. So, like, you're right. Like when you said there's plenty of stuff to impeach him
vote
for
from the senators. I mean,
no.
Like,
what I was saying is
impeach him. They're not going to remove him from the 25th Amendment.
Yeah.
But it's also you need his entire handpicked cabinet and 3/4 of the Congress together.
You can't remove greatness. You can't stop a train. My cabinet is a train. It's a cabinet train.
I don't know if you've been in.
No one's ever seen a train this good.
The New York City subway, it stops all the time. You're never on time. It's always stopping.
It's always stopping, but that's because the woke garbage that runs that city, they did that to the subway.
Before all this Iran stuff was going on, I would have been, and maybe still, I would be willing to put money that the Trump administration will eventually get to fixing the train system in America.
Only one kind of train.
Yep.
It'll run on time.
Yep.
Biden will be like, "What happened to my trains? It used to be people. Like, it used to be seats. Now you just stand."
Yep.
All one-way tickets.
El Salvador. Yeah. So So what I think is important is post-Trump. Let's talk post-Trump. Sure.
So when Team
How do we
Cholesterol,
start fixing
if Team
shit?
Cholesterol wins, or if Putin calls him home, said, I need you by my side. Get in a plane, come to me. We're
Just
you come to
slurp
me.
it.
Yeah, I'm ending your assignment early. Come in. Or he gets impeached, or his health gets to the point where he steps down for his health. When he sleeps for more time of the day than he's awake, since he seems to nap a lot. I mean, once he started saying Sleepy Joe, he had a problem staying awake because everything he does is a confession. So,
That's true. Like never, it is like none of the hypocrisy has been to the level of Trump. Like every Republican, we expect it, right? But like literally, like if he said like the tweet for everything, it's like holy shit, like just don't say it in the first place.
well, but the thing is, because what he said, his critiques are, if it were me,
Yeah.
I would be playing golf every weekend. Therefore, he said that Obama did. If it were me, I wouldn't leave the Oval Office if I was voted out. I'm going to say Obama's not going to leave because it's what I would do if I was in charge. And then, of course, when he's in charge, he did it because that's what he would do. He doesn't think he was accusing them of anything weird. He said, "This is what you should do if you're in power."
Yeah.
But so let's say one of those things happens, and he goes bye bye. Come on, Team KFC. I think that MAGA dies with Trump. I think J.D. Vance does not get reelected on a MAGA platform.
I can't imagine J.D. Vance getting reelected. Although he is right now, they're saying him and DJ TJ are the front runners for 2028. Is what I heard.
But I don't think they're going to have the MAGA back. I think the people who came out of the woodwork to vote for Trump, who didn't vote ever before in their lives, disappear again.
Yeah,
like
he has. As much as we don't like him, he has a charm that neither of those guys do.
Charisma that made it work.
Yeah, I was about to say.
He's a
MAGA is
it's him.
Yes,
he is the point, not his style. Not
correct.
You can't copy it to someone else.
If it's not him, it's nobody. The fandom is so Trump specific, not even party specific, that if it's not DJ, like two men could be in a room. It could be the entire Republican Party and DJ, and if DJ says it, MAGA believes it. But if everybody on the other side of that, which is the entire rest of the party, says, no, he's talking garbage. No, they're going to be like, nope, Donnie didn't say it. Donnie didn't say it. Like, it's that bad. So if it dies with them, I will get out my bug spray. The maggots will go away. And I would love it.
Well, the problem is, I don't think it's going to splinter the party well enough because I think they're just going to disappear instead of splintering the party.
I wish that happened at the beginning of this most recent election. I thought he would try to run independent, and I wanted him to.
If it even weakens the party, then that's okay. But here's sorry to go back before to my original topic for a second. Is one thing that I witnessed this past week in Massachusetts is I saw a large part of my family go ahead. On Father's Day, and nobody brought up politics, and I was like, is it because they don't want to they don't want to talk about it because they don't want to be
an argument this week?
That's what I thought was, is it because they never ever have hesitated to bring it up to me when they think that they're winning, and I'm like, is it so bad they don't think they can defend it, or maybe. But anyway, like literally nobody brought up politics all week.
So what my wife keeps saying, and she's posted it on Facebook, is how the hell is everyone moving forward as if it's not happening? We're protesting, we're doing no kings, we're but still, like, she's like, how are we living our daily life when this shit is going on without just being obsessed by it 24/7? And I was saying, like, it's funny because when I go to work, when I go to the office, we don't talk about politics while we're doing our jobs. It's like just a normal day in the office until I go to take my lunch break, and one of my colleagues to sit next to me, and it's a guy who was a light Republican his whole life until Trump, and Trump made him be like, I can't. How is my party doing this? So he sits down to me and he's like, dude, what the fuck? And like he's always like throwing things at me. How is this happening? And it's basically only over our lunch break. I mean, my chicken vindaloo, and he's unloading how stressed he is.
Yeah. It is weird. It's like, we have to all move. We all have to continue to make money and do all the things that we have to do to function. And I've had that thought a lot in the last couple of weeks because, I'm getting a lot of stuff done to try to because I haven't been working. So I'm trying to do things to keep my own. I know you're retiring. To get my own like life moving forward again, and like as far as making money and stuff, and I'm like, I'm not shying away. So like on on my Instagram account that I've been using to push my book.
Your what?
My book.
You have a book?
I have a book. I was going to mention it at the end of the episode, but like,
stay around for the end of the episode to hear about The Dinner Party,
my first novel. But like, one of the cool things that I've been seeing is that a lot of Bookstagram is like, books are political. Don't, like people being like, or, people posting stuff like, oh, if you start getting political on your Bookstagram, people are going to leave your following. It's like, bye-bye. And so I've been kind of like, I haven't broached that subject because I'm still ramping up a little bit, but like, I'm also like liking stuff and commenting on political things. I'm just not like sharing on my Bookstagram account yet, my author, account yet. But like, I have been thinking like, I want to be successful with this venture. What was that face?
Sorry, I was going to yawn, but I didn't want to open.
I thought I said something that disgusted you, and I was like, you just look like
holding in a yawn.
Okay.
You bored me. You bored the fuck out of me.
Well, yeah. So anyway, so I've been
like when you're banging me. That's how bored I was.
So I was trying to I'm trying to balance, those things, and my book has some political relevance, not necessarily political, but like religious, political kind of connotations to it. I don't know.
Political.
I don't know if the two of you have read it yet, so I don't know how much and I don't want to spoil it, but it's not out yet. But they were given
we have advanced
copies of the manuscript.
It's hard to keep up because he shares faster than I have time to read.
Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, so I've been like in that same boat of like I need because eventually even though Sarah makes good money, I need to make money too. So like I've been thinking about that while also thinking about like the world is on fire and like our country is in, I would say, the worst domestic situation that we have been in my lifetime. I don't think that that's even really a debatable thing, like between the fact that we are kind of occupying Los Angeles and like the way things have been going. It's like, this is the worst. I mean, I lived through the LA riots, even though I wasn't there. I mean, I was alive during the time. But like, I don't think that this really compares to the LA riots of '92. I
think there have been focused points where things are worse in a small geographic area for a small time,
as opposed to the national political.
Overall, there's been like tornadoes that are worse, but this is the hurricane that's over all of us.
Exactly. The larger political implication is worse now, is what I'm trying to say. All right, should we start wrapping up? Because I don't know. Like, I think we kind of covered. Like, I am happy to see that people are starting to come around, although I do think you're right that
we don't know the numbers, because how many people who today are anti-Trump because he invaded Iran, next week will buy his lines and say, I can't believe I was against it last week.
I was just about to say that, like, while I'm glad to see it initially, I don't know that I will trust that it will hold. Like, I think you're right that there is a chance, a better than not chance, that a lot of the people who seem as if they're jumping ship right now could be swayed back with almost nothing.
But at the same time, I will say it's definitely going to shave support. Yeah. It may not be as big as we want it to be, is my concern. Yeah. But there will be something else that will shave some more. He's going to keep whittling. I mean, what's crazy is that he gets elected, but then his approval rating is in the toilet. Like, how did he get fucking elected? Is people just that racist and that sexist that you couldn't vote for a woman?
I think it's sexist because
even though they knew they're going to dislike him as soon as he's elected,
he has never beaten a man before. I love seeing. Have you seen those where people are posting like, if you ever want to piss off a Trumper, just remind them that Trump can't win against a man.
He can in the primaries. Well, not a man. He did against Republicans.
Yeah, Ted Cruz is it's not a transphobic or anything joke. That is a
Florida guy.
He's not a human.
What's Florida guy? That's
not Rubio.
No. the governor who was his
DeSantis.
DeSantis.
Ron
DeSantis, yeah.
DeSanctimonious.
Sanctimonious. It was supposed to be his competition in the primary who had taken out the
Scamdus.
primary. Did all the shit that, like, did all the Trumpian stuff. He did all the MAGA rules, put them in place.
And it doesn't get any coverage because it's not Donnie doing it.
Yeah, but which is now.
But also, he doesn't have the personality.
No one can step up and be Donnie. He tried, and he can't be done.
Mhm.
I actually don't. I don't know who. I mean, the only Republican I think that has even remotely as much charm as Donald Trump is Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's not eligible, and as of right now, he's not eligible, and he's like anti-Trump. He's like, he is pretty left wing for a Republican.
Yeah, he's a California Republican.
Yeah,
like
he's the only
North Carolina Democrat
of every single Republican.
Is married to
politician,
a real
one. Yeah. Of every Republican politician in America, he's the only one I can think of who is on par with Trump as far as charisma, personality.
Yeah, as a big name and draw. Yeah.
All right. So, do we have any homework to assign our audience on this episode? Because
we don't have homework, but we have news from about 50 minutes ago.
Okay.
Let's start with that.
Oh. And everything that Matthew just was saying about they'll be back on board and they'll be like, look at how great he did.
It's right.
They will be flooding in. Like, this episode has just become completely obsolete.
No, it has not. No, it has not. Not even close. Because the last time he said stuff that like ridiculous, it wasn't verified. Now I think this is the official White House posting this. It's probably verified, but still.
The Washington Post article starts, President Donald Trump said on social media that Iran and Israel have agreed to a ceasefire, ending what he said should have been the 12-day, which should be called the 12-day war. So let's see. He says they did it, but you know what? Israel and Gaza have agreed to 100 ceasefires in the last 2 years.
Very true. Seriously true.
Until it means something.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll bookend it. How about that?
But right away he's taking credit. Like he is an arsonist.
Oh yeah. Look what I did. I'm a master negotiator.
Yep.
Solve the problem that I created.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bomb them and then say, "Would you like some cake?" I'll let them eat all the cake.
All right. So, Matthew, do you have any homework for the audience?
Yeah, homework is keep up the pressure, though. Keep going to the No Kings or other things.
Are they doing more? Like the No Kings specifically?
There's always more. There's always more.
No, I know there's more, but like, are there any?
There are going to be more official ones, yes.
Yeah. I mean, because things are happening, so they're doing so many. Every couple of weeks they're doing something. So keep watching for things and go to the ones you can go to. There's Pride stuff going on every weekend in June in different places. Here we are. So for us, this weekend, I don't know if this can be out in time for it. It's not going to be out this week. Are we? No. You just missed Fuquay Varina's Pride. People, what's the matter with you? If you're watching live, go to Fuquay Varina's Pride on Saturday. In the fall, there'll be some more, I think, Wake Forest and Durham are in the fall. But keep doing things. Keep the pressure on because people need to see that other people care. People need to see the coverage. People need to feel like they're not alone. They're not the only ones who care. So please keep out there and call your or email your representatives and your senators. Even if you say, "Oh, mine's a piece of shit," like Tom Tillis. If you tell him enough times, at least he can't say nobody. I haven't heard that from anyone.
Yeah. And one of the things that again to go back to Cogdis. One of the things that they were saying this morning on this episode, or you may have heard it a few days earlier.
I did because I'm a patron.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't remember which one you're talking about because I heard it a couple days ago.
They were mentioning that like while there is, in some ways, it can feel very futile to do those things. While Trump is shitting on America's like standing in the world, the fact that millions and millions and millions of people are showing up to be like, fuck this, will send a message to our allies and to the people who have historically sided with us, respected America. Will hopefully say like, this is not everybody in America. And
if you're not out there protesting, people are just going to assume silence is agreement, that you must agree with them or you'd be out there protesting.
Yeah.
100% silence is agreement, and that is not the way forward, folks.
Right. Okay. Now, Matthew, should we start the wrap up, the more official wrap up?
I mean, I'm not going to rap because I'm whiter than that. But I am going to tell you that if you're watching this video, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for watching this video. And I would love it if you would like this video because, you know, the YouTube gods like the likes. They also like comments. So make a comment, any comment. If you just write, hey, I'm making this to make a comment because the YouTube gods like a comment, go ahead, make that comment. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, it really helps the algorithm. People, the computer says, "Oh, people like this channel, so subscribe." Even if you never watch another video, subscribe. It don't hurt you. Ring the notification bell. Don't do it on your phone because that'll be annoying. But when you're on your laptop, go ahead and hit the notification bell. It just puts a little number 1 in the notifications. It doesn't bother you, but it helps us. It helps me. It makes my life better. And if my life is better, then my life is better.
Yeah. And if you're listening to our podcast on any of the podcast apps that, you know, whatever yours is of choice, give us a thumbs up, a like, a follow, 5 stars.
Log into iTunes on your laptop, even if you don't use it, and give us a 5-star review there because iTunes means a lot, apparently.
Yeah, do that. And if you want to,
is there a dedicated app where they can hear our stuff, like early and stuff?
Yeah, that's what I was just
or
going to get
live
to.
Even.
Yeah, so if you go to patreon.com/talking about the big stuff.
Wait, was that patreon.com/talking about the big stuff?
I believe you said it correctly. Did you say patreon.com/talking about the big stuff?
I did say patreon.com/talking about the big stuff.
Great.
I mean, that's what I heard. So yeah, it's got to be.
So if you go there, there's 4 options for you. One is that you can just follow for free. And what that allows you to do is get the podcast the same way you would through any other app, but also it'll notify you when other stuff comes available, including the live streams. And you can access the live streams, at least while they're live. And we may take them down after or make them Patreon only afterwards.
Fun fact. I knew what today's topic was because my daughter said, "Oh, I just got a notification from Patreon. You're talking about Trump today." I was like, "Oh, thank you, honey."
Yeah. We also kind of talked about it in text a little bit.
Oh, yeah, but I wasn't paying attention. I was like, "Oh, that's why we were talking about Trump." That's the topic. I didn't even know.
I did say this could be a topic for tonight.
About his favorite politician again.
Yeah. So there's also a $1 option, which gets you the episodes early. $3 option, which gets you, it's $3 a month, $1 a month, just so we're clear. I don't know that I've said that recently. And that's 4 to 5 episodes. So, you're getting quite a bit. $3 a month gets you the episodes early plus some extra content in the episodes. And then $10 a month gets you the episodes early with all the extra content. And Matthew usually, does something worth the $10. And also you might get a fun little story at the beginning of the episodes. I've been throwing those in us bantering while we get set up and wait for the audience to come. So that's fun stuff that you're going to get if you're a $10 patron. All right, and as Matthew alluded to, and then I mentioned earlier, I wrote my first novel. It is on pre-order right now. It'll be out November 4th. It's called The Dinner Party. I will link in the show notes. I know it's fairly different than this podcast, so it's not necessarily something that our audience will 100% agree or just because they like the podcast. So keep that in mind. But you can go check it out and see what you think of the synopsis on the websites. So I'll link that in the show notes. And I've been working for 2 years almost on it, and so I'm really excited. By the time it comes out, it will be 2 years. I know that I've been announcing a lot of shit the last couple weeks,
and this is the shittiest of the shit.
Between the Completionists podcast and this, it's you just have to understand that both of those things were in production for more than a year, and they just happened to time out in a way that
you're saying you completed your novel while you were completing the Completionists?
Yeah.
That's completely insane.
Yeah. So, and I've been talking about the big stuff the entire time because I care so much about you, our audience.
I thought
all 3 of you, and you too. All right. We will be back. If you're watching live, we'll be back in about 20 minutes for the next episode.
So thanks for hanging around to talk about the big stuff. Hopefully Trump won't hang around.
Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. It's just the beginning. If you have thoughts or questions or topics you'd like us to tackle in a future episode, drop us a line on our social media channels. Engage with this video when you are now watching it as a VOD on YouTube. Send us an email. We love hearing from our listeners, bringing us topics, because if you leave it up to the three of us, we're going to eventually be talking about underwater basket weaving. So we would appreciate you guys reaching out a little bit. Don't forget to subscribe to Talking About the Big Stuff on your favorite platform. Give us a 5-star rating. Engage with it. Criticize us. We need to grow and be better, and you're going to help us be there. You're going to help us get to that point. It really helps us more to reach out and also to keep the conversation going. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more big ideas and more thought-provoking discussions. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and keep talking about the big stuff.
The preceding podcast has been a Chocolate Diamond Media LLC production. Copyright 2023, all rights reserved.